Backcountry Colorado, hiking, backpacking.
I did a lot of marathons. I was convinced to do some ultras.
Climbing, and I do filming and photography.
I just like the ultras because I love the community. I just think that everybody is so nice, whether they're the first place finishers or, you know, us that kind of mosey along.
Also, you know, fishing, hunting, camping. I love all that stuff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dispatch Radio. I am your host, Russ Rizzo. Hope you're having a great week. Before we start today's show, I want to let you know about two opportunities to come see us live. This Saturday morning on December 15th, come join us in Morrison for a Dirty 30 kickoff party and community run with professional ultra runner Kat Bradley and endurance coach David Roach, author of the new hit book, The Happy Runner. Then on Monday night, December 17th, join a cast of Golden Incredibles, amazing outdoor athletes and adventurers for a community run and live podcast recording at the American Mountaineering Center in downtown Golden. Featured and special guests include Jason Anton, Eric Sanders, and Wade Morris, plus Travis Macy, who you're going to get to know all about in this episode. Other expected featured guests include Courtney Do It DeWalter and the world's toughest mudder champion himself, Chris Mendoza. Details at dispatchradio.com. On today's show, we take a run with adventure racer and endurance coach Travis Macy and his new run buddy at one of his favorite local trails outside of Golden, Colorado. Macy is a longtime endurance adventure racer who has participated in more than 120 events across the globe. In 2013, he set a new course record for the grueling Leadman series, which includes 300 miles of mountain running and biking, a record, by the way, that fell 3 years later to a Leadville local. He recently published his first book, The Ultra Mindset, an excellent book, by the way. During our run, Macy shares how lessons from the outdoors and endurance worlds can be applied to daily life. He talks about being a dad of 2 little ones, and he opens up about a recent health diagnosis for his dad, Mark Macy, himself a legendary endurance athlete. If you enjoy the show, tell us about it with a review on Apple Podcasts. Now on to the show. I arrived at the Apex Trailhead outside of Golden, Colorado on a recent fall morning to meet up with adventure racer and endurance coach Travis Macy.
This trail's called Enchanted Forest, and this is, in my mind, especially with mountain biking, like this is one of the trails on the Front Range. We're running up it, but I usually bike down it, and man, it's just bumps and twists and turns and roots, rocks, jumps. It's a sweet trail. It's a north-facing slope. It's thickly treed vegetation. It's always dark. In the winter, this side of the valley will be covered with snow and ice. You know, if we look on the other side of the valley, 100 yards away, that'll be bone dry. And there could still be a foot of snow right here.
And who are we running with?
We're running with Juniper, our mini Aussie. She's a year old and
She's hurting me right now.
she's getting the ankles.
Is she trying to get me in line?
Something like that. Honestly, in the last month, I've had an enthusiasm injected into my running. One is because of Juniper. She's finally old enough to run substantially, and it's been colder, so you know, she can run a couple hours in the cold, just totally having fun, not slowing down. And that's been great. And then, you know, we got our first snow a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That got me thinking about ski mountaineering, and that kind of gets me hyped up to do some more vertical on my runs, and that's felt good. So Leadman is a series of 5 races, all in Leadville, running and mountain biking. You do them over, I think, 7 or 8 weeks. Juniper sees a squirrel here.
Get that squirrel, Juniper.
So you start with the marathon. A couple weeks later, you do the 50-mile bike and or 50-mile run. 5 weeks after that, 100-mile bike. Week after that, 100-mile run. And there's a road 10K thrown in there. You know, when Leadman came on my radar, probably 10 years ago or something, you know, I mean, for me it was like, I am absolutely going to do that. It's just a question of when. I sort of felt like this race is made for me. It's got running, it's got biking, it's at high altitude in the Colorado Rockies. I've been going to Leadville my whole life. You know, my family does the race. I grew up around it. I got to do this. Hey.
How's it going?
Yo, Dispatch Radio, who do we got?
Oh, Becca Hall.
This is Travis Macy.
Hey,
Professional
Travis
athlete.
Macy I've heard of. Don't you live in Evergreen?
All right, cool. Have a nice run.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you
Yeah,
too,
hopefully
man.
we'll,
Actually,
yeah,
both
hopefully
you
we'll
guys.
see you
Let
out
me shake your
there.
hand.
Alrighty, see you, Becca. We're at the top of the Apex Trail. Apex hits the Lookout Mountain Road. This is a great road cycling spot. The pro race comes right through here.
We're stopping for a little catch the breath for Russ here. Keep it up with Travis Macy. Whoa! Oh, baby.
You know, the outdoor adventure for me has really been there from the start. I remember in the early days, you know, I was 5 years old. My dad signed up for the Leadville 100, and I remember that feel of being there on the line. Ken Kluber's up there, you know, you're better than you think you are, you can do more than you think you can. And yeah, and that just, you know, that stuck with me. So there was being around that, but then also I've always loved being outside. It's always, for me, provided peace of mind, mental stability, relaxation, time to think, time to connect with like-minded people, time to be myself or be with my dog. And it's always been something I've gravitated to. And often that's physically, but it could also, you know, fishing, hunting, camping. I love all that stuff. Hey, golden leaves flitting in the wind, lighting up in the sun.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Looks like gold dust.
You know, one way I've reconnected, I think, a bit with nature over the last few years is doing more slow stuff. Hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, like, you're really in touch with nature. I mean, running and biking are great, but a lot of it, you're hammering, there's sweat in your eyes, and there's something to that. But I also think there's something to going to a spot and sitting and not moving for hours that I think everyone should do. I would say in a nutshell, for me, the simplified version of mental training is looking for challenges and seeing value in that challenge. So instead of having a victim mindset about doing something tough or hard, and this could be your weekly long run, or maybe it's just making it through the day at work, or getting up at 2 a.m. with your infant. If you can flip that and tell yourself a story like, this is good mental training, you're preparing yourself, you're filling a well of resilience that you can draw from when the chips are down in your race, or, in my opinion, more importantly, when the chips are down in life. The latest in my family, you know, my dad, he's the one who started that saying, this is good mental training. And he said that, I bet, almost every day his whole life. He's 64 now, you know, and at times we wonder, well, Dad, what are you preparing for? Why are you doing all this mental training? And sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you do, but he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's last week. And that's big, that's challenging, that's scary, it's unknown, and he's got hope. And I've got hope, and our family's got hope, and you've got to have that. he's a pro. He's an incredible guy. He worked hard as a lawyer. He worked hard as an athlete. He worked hardest as a father. You know, he was always there at the games and stuff. And you know, Alzheimer's is no joke. We know about how that usually progresses, but there's a new functional medicine protocol using supplements, diet, stress relief, etc. And you know, I think the only choice right now is to hit this with everything we've got, to face this as a race of life and death, which it is, and to have hope that it's going to work, and I think it will.
So at times like this in your life, when you're facing adversity and you know you're dealing with your dad, is that a time when you take to the trails?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, I know for me that exercise really is the best medicine. We all have our ups and downs. I've dealt with some depression over the years, something that I've come to terms with recently and been more creative on how to deal with it, and exercise is huge for that. That's running out here, running with friends, biking with friends. You know, for me, like I said, other slower things that really to me feel naturally connected, like fishing and hunting and camping. Heck yeah, that's part of the wellness program. I think in the day-to-day, something like getting out consistently to run or bike or hike or ski or whatever you want to do, you know, the physical benefits are obvious, but I think even more so is the mental piece. It's the peace of mind, it's the reflection, it's the release of energy, and then it's also the routine and the stability. And for a lot of people, just having that system, I know for me, that's just huge on a daily basis. Sometimes if I'm feeling down, I go out and I run or I bike, and I feel like a completely different person. I am much better prepared to be a professional and a spouse and a parent.
We are at Pick and Sledge Trail Grub Stake
Loop, one of my other favorite mountain bike spots. But this is good because we got Denver straight east, we got Green Mountain, we got South Table Mountain, we got North Table Mountain, we got some smog from an inversion, which is pretty typical. But it's, man, this is a great place to be.
You just like, we're out here in nature, and we're looking down there on urban. Tell me about the rest of the Macy fam.
Yeah, so my immediate family, I've got my wife Amy. She's a hardworking professional, a wonderful mom and wife. Especially in the fall, she works really big hours. She's got a college counseling business, and that leaves me with a lot of time and responsibility with Wyatt, who's 7, and Lila, who's 5. They're wonderful little kids. My hope for them is they find something to be excited about in life. I don't care if it's the stuff I do or not, but if they find something to be passionate and happy about, I'll be pleased. It's a balancing act, and especially I think that in my experience, the kind of people who are drawn to pursuing this kind of outdoor stuff, especially as the distances get longer and more extreme and more time consuming, those are people who have a tendency to go all in and to really hit it hard and to feel alive by doing that. And I know I do. And as my wife and I often discuss, you got to do it within a system. Especially when you have kids and you have a spouse, it is going to be a juggling act. It's going to be an ongoing conversation. You know, everyone in the system is going to have some level of give and take and making things work, but I really think you can do it. I think a lot of people, they get married or they have kids or they get a job and they think, oh, that's it. I can't do what I care about anymore. And I don't care if that's ultra endurance racing or underwater basket weaving. I think if you want to do it, and I think you should do it, I think you can figure out how. Specific things that we can learn from this outdoor racing that we can bring back to parenting or being a better spouse, running our career, would be things like thinking about your thinking, and specifically, when are we thinking about what we're doing and when are we thinking about why we're doing it. I think that the stories that we have in our head, whether negative or positive, make a difference, and we actually have some control over those. This is probably the one, I talk in the book about 8 principles. This is probably the one that for me is the hardest on a consistent basis, is rewriting those negative stories, thoughts, ruminations into positives. One of my mantras is look for the good. And when I say that to myself, I'm looking for the good in this day, in this relationship, in this run, in this work activity, and for me that makes a difference. I'd worked for a number of years as a high school teacher. I was on track to become a high school administrator, and I kind of, looked back and realized I don't know if this is where I want to go, so I decided, hey, I'll give it a shot in the entrepreneurial space, try to grow some business with coaching, speaking. That's when I decided to write a book. Anyone who's made that leap knows how scary it is, knows that there's no guarantees. The book I wrote came out and, it's done relatively well, but what people don't see, that was probably the 4th or 5th item in a series of creative projects that the other ones didn't pan out, and this one did. And I think that's true for anyone. Yeah, so ski mountaineering in a nutshell, you race uphill and downhill. You go uphill with climbing skins, you come downhill alpine style with your heels clicked in. The Grand Traverse is one of the classics. It's a 40-mile midnight start epic from Crested Butte to Aspen. And we've got a charity team this year. We're raising money for the Chris Klug Foundation, which is a group that promotes organ and tissue donation. That's a cause really close to my heart. My mom has had 3 transplants. She got a liver in 1990, a kidney from her brother Brian in 2002, and then another kidney from her brother Eric just last year. So I'm hoping that this will be kind of a small way to give back and just keep that ball rolling. The cause I'm trying to get on the radar now is www.teamdonatelifeendure.com, and this is our charity project for the Grand Traverse ski race, trying to raise some funds for organ and tissue donation.
All right, Travis. Thanks for having us out with Juniper.
Yeah, thanks. Good.
Thanks, Juniper. We hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know with a review on Apple Podcasts if you did. Your reviews help others find the show, which helps us grow and deliver more episodes like this. Are you in the Front Range and interested in opportunities to partner with Dispatch Radio to host a live event and recording at your place of business? We're scheduling now for our 2019 season. Reach out at info@dispatchradio.com. Coming up next week, we continue our Profile in Motion series with a bike ride around South Boulder with the self-described dirtbag himself, Doug Schnitzbahn, editor of Elevation Outdoors magazine. Thanks for tuning in.